Hi folks, Vipin here, making a video after quite some time. I apologize for that. I was pretty busy with valuation work, but now that I'm done with it, I can continue in delivering good quality content and making you guys learn better. Now, before I get started with today's topic, once again I would like to remind my fellow students, in the upcoming Lok Sabha elections, please do vote for Narendra Modi. The reason why I would say that would be because of his pro-development initiatives. I know most of his development has been restricted to Gujarat. I mean, that's because he is the CM of Gujarat and has been for quite some time. So most of the development has been restricted to that. But nonetheless, if he was given a chance to be India's Prime Minister, I'm sure he would do an outstanding job in making this country on par with the other developed countries in the rest of the world. A lot of people say a lot of negative things about BJP, especially when they talk about RSS, saying that it was an RSS member who happened to have assassinated Mahatma Gandhi. But if you do your research, it actually shows Nethuram, who happens to be the assassin, was not really part of RSS when he actually committed the crime. So you really can't say that this person in fact is a member of RSS when he did it, and RSS is a bad thing. This is a lot like saying, let's say if I were to become an assassin in the future, I'm not really considering that. The school where I studied happened to be a school which trains assassins, and Bangalore High School is not. So go by the logic and not by the media hype, and vote for Narendra Modi. So before I proceed with the Sahara Group fraud, we'll call it as fraud for now, let me first tell you what the Sahara Group is actually into. The Sahara Group is a conglomerate. A conglomerate is a company which is into many activities. Sahara Group is into real estate, they're into hotels, they're into media, they are into a variety of activities, and that's one of the reasons why you would call them as a conglomerate. So what happened with this company? Why did the whole episode between them and SEBI actually start? Let's look at that in detail now. I'll warn you, this will get quite confusing, and the confusing part is pretty much the complexity of the scam. I will do my best in explaining them. So let's look at what happened in the past. The Sahara India Real Estate Corporation Limited and Sahara Housing Investment Corporation Limited decided to sell bonds which were called OFCD, optional fully convertible debentures, at 15%. Now there are different types of debentures. One of the types that you would come across is optional fully convertible debentures, meaning these debentures can be converted to equity after a certain period of time. So now these bonds were sold, or bonds or debentures were sold to the near and dear, and hence Sahara Group said that this cannot be called as a public issue. Okay, and now the total number of people who apparently bought these bonds were 2.96 crore. 2.96 crore people have bought this. Okay, they have bought bonds to the extent of 24,000 crores. Okay, 2.96 crore people have bought bonds to the extent of 24,000 crores. Now, SEBI says that this is in fact a public issue. The Sahara Group says that no, it's not a public issue because we have not sold it to the public. We have sold it to our near and dear. Now, that's different, because calling near and dear is different, and SEBI's definition of public is different. SEBI's definition of public, as per the Companies Act, is if you're selling it to more than 50 people, it's in fact called a public issue. And when it is a public issue, you have to get it listed in a stock exchange. Now, none of that happened with the Sahara Group's sale of these bonds or debentures. Remember, the rule says 50 people. If you sell it to more than 50 people, then it's called a public issue. And when it is a public issue, you have to list it in a stock exchange. Now that did not happen. So violation number 1. Second violation, they've not sold it to 50 people. In fact, they've sold it to 2.96 crore people. Okay. So there, the second offense they saw there. The next thing that happened was, due to non-compliance, SEBI in fact told Sahara Group to repay the amount in full to investors. Now, non-compliance is a very, very serious issue. This is a very important lesson in corporate governance. Sahara Group did not follow this particular bit of Companies Act, that is Section 67. Because they did not follow that, SEBI said repay the entire thing to the investors. Now this is what makes it pretty interesting. K.M. Abraham, who happened to be the director of SEBI back then, writes a letter saying the following things. The case of the two companies being Sahara Real Estate and Sahara Housing Investment, is that they've issued OFCDs to members only associated with the Sahara Group. Now if you look at this, they've said the company with the largest market capitalization in India has just 4 million investors. 4 million investors. 1 million is equal to 10 lakhs. 4 million is equal to 40 lakhs. So SEBI has actually said the company with the largest market capitalization has just got 40 lakh investors. Okay. And there, the last sentence is what I like very, it's in fact very well written. In fact, the total investor base in India, as per the data from the depositories, the central depositories, is the extent of 15 million. 15 million people. 15 million people is about 1.5 crore people. In fact, it's to say there are just 1.5 crore people who have demat accounts with them, and only those people with a demat account can buy a debenture. Now 1.5 crore people is all that is there who can actually buy it. Legally speaking, only these guys can buy it. But the Sahara Group has managed to sell it to 2.96 crore people. Now that's something you can actually see is a little fishy. Given this, how did the Sahara Group manage to issue bonds to 2.96 crore people who were largely members associated with this group? Now, in the statement made by the Sahara Group, they said we are selling it to the near and dear, our relatives, people who are long-term employees, high-performing employees. We decided to sell it to them. But even if you take that, it should not exceed 1.5 crores. But in case of the Sahara Group, it is in fact 2.96 crores, nearly double of the total registered investors in India. You can see how interesting this gets. So let's move on to some of the even more interesting parts. The Supreme Court, however, ruled in favor of SEBI. Yes, because the Supreme Court is intelligent. They ruled in the favor of SEBI and ordered the Sahara Group to repay the amount by November 2012. Okay, the rule was made sometime in August 2012, and Sahara Group was given about 3 months to repay the full amount to these investors. And then the rule was, this is what I like, the rule was Sahara must deposit the money with SEBI and SEBI will in turn repay the investors. So it's a nice way to say the Supreme Court doesn't trust the Sahara Group. I mean, if you look at all the fishy behavior they've been doing, you would have to think twice before you tell them to do something. So they ended up telling the SEBI that, okay, you collect the money from Sahara Group and SEBI will in fact repay the investors. The next thing was the Supreme Court ordered Sahara Group to deposit 5,120 crore, which the group in fact paid up in 2012, December. And no further amount has been given by the group to SEBI till date. Remember, no money has been given by Sahara to SEBI till date. And now, the Sahara Group eventually went on to say, we have repaid investors since April 2012, and by June 2012 already 16,000 crores of investors' money has been repaid. which makes me ask them this question: why the hell are you fighting in Supreme Court in August 2012 when you claim more than 50% of your investment, your investors' wealth has been repaid in June 2012? It's a little ridiculous when you think about it. You're fighting a case wherein the judgment is given in August. In August 2012, the Supreme Court says refund, repaid back to the investors. But Sahara Group has been saying we've already repaid our investors in April to June 2012. We've been repaying them, and that's already come to 16,000 crores. You can see how ridiculous this is getting from the Sahara point of view. Okay, before the Supreme Court actually tells them to refund, the Sahara Group apparently has already refunded a large amount of this money. Now, this gets even more fun. So, if you look at it, in the first slide that I mentioned, Sahara India Real Estate and Sahara Housing Investment Corporation, they were able to raise 24,000 crores. Now, if you want to raise 24,000 crores, the concept of capital works something like this. You raise that money, you use that money to buy some assets, which will in turn generate revenue. So when you have used this money to buy assets, how is it that you were able to get this money back and repay your investors so quickly? I mean, the concept of liquidation doesn't work so well. It's not like you used your money to buy an asset and immediately afterwards you got it back and you gave it back to the person who paid you that money in the first place. This sounds very, very ridiculous from a financial point of view. So, what really happened afterwards? So, if you look at the details here, here, where did Sahara even manage to get 24,000 crores? So this is what they've told. Okay. In the first case and the second case, you can see the Sahara Credit Cooperative Society and the Sahara Q Shop. Sahara Credit Cooperative is a cooperative bank, and Sahara Q Shop is a retail company, something like Big Bazaar, something like more. Okay. So this is what the Sahara Group has said. We bought properties from our subsidiary concerns, from our sister concerns. We managed to buy properties. Now, this is allowed. You're allowed to do it. So Sahara Credit Cooperative and Sahara Q Shop, remember, these are really, really small companies. Okay, really small companies. They bought properties from their sister concern, and after buying properties, they gave them cash to the extent of 24,000 crores. Wow. And I thought I could come up with bullshit better. So this is what they've said. We bought properties from Sahara India Retail and Sahara Housing, and we gave them cash for this. They apparently gave them 24,000 crores to the exchange of 24,000 crores worth of property. Now comes another question. Where did Sahara Credit Cooperative and Sahara Q Shop manage to get 24,000 crores in the first place? Okay. And this is the answer that they gave. They managed to get it from the parent company, Sahara India Parivar, the parent company. They managed to get it from them. The parent company managed to raise this 24,000 crores from more than 4,700 investor locations. Now, I have no idea what investor locations mean. I know what investors mean. What does investor location mean? I don't know. I mean, this is what I've seen the company make the statements, not mine. So they've said the main company, the parent company, has been able to get 4,700. They've been able to contact 4,700 investor locations and managed to get 24,000 crores. The 24,000 crores were given to the Q Shop and the Credit Cooperative. The Credit Cooperative in turn used this 24,000 crores and gave it to their sister concerns. This is one of the most complicated movements of money that I've actually come across. And I'm no judge here to decide whether Sahara Group is guilty of anything or not. But as far as I can see here, I've seen them do some really, really suspicious and really, really goofy things. I mean, they've done a lot here, in fact, by running from pillar to post in their statements and in these matters. So let's wait and see what's going to happen next. I certainly hope that nothing serious happens to this company, because a few bad apples shouldn't really spoil the entire company's image. And you have a lot of people who work for the Sahara Group, and I don't want their livelihood to get affected by the actions of the management of this company. And with this, I hope that you've understood the scam. It will take some time to actually understand how money actually moves. This is one of the things that people do when it comes to money laundering. So this is something which Sahara Group has in fact apparently tried to do, and sadly for them, SEBI has put them in a fix, and so has the Supreme Court. And when Supreme Court or SEBI grabs you by the balls, there is really no escape when it comes to what they do. So let's hope for the best. I certainly hope that the employees of the company are not really affected in the whole thing, and the matter gets settled as quickly as possible. Thank you for your time. Have a nice day. Subscribe to my videos and please vote for Narendra Modi. Bye guys. See you.